It's been a while. It's been a couple weeks. I've been super busy at work, so I have to I'm a little rusty on how to run these things.
It's okay. No big
But
deal.
it's I guess maybe an okay 2 weeks to take off. A lot of excitement regarding Tesla stock itself. We're getting closer and closer to V14 getting launched here shortly. Obviously today, as we're recording this, delivery numbers for Q3 were published. So 497, not bad. It kind of feels like the good old days when we were just on the
Yep.
up and up on deliveries. And then obviously now we're a little more than a month away from Investor Day, and then in a few weeks, obviously we'll have the earnings call for Q3, which obviously we expect it to be kind of gangbusters. Word on the street, I think, is like 50 cent. I think consensus is 50 cents per share ish. Word on the street right now is between like 50 and 65. I forget what the numbers are. But um, anyway,
I I think it won't. I don't think it's gonna be that good next quarter numbers wise.
Q4.
Yeah, only because I feel like people aren't wrong about the whole tax credit thing and then how hard Tesla's been pushing it. But quarter fours have always been pretty good, generally.
Yep.
So
Yep.
we'll see. Um, I'm just happy that Tesla's doing good numbers generally, even though like the numbers don't matter.
I agree that they don't matter in the long scheme of things. I think it's great right now in the sense that Tesla still needs to continue pumping money into its investments, whether it's CapEx or OpEx. I think it's
Yeah.
good that we get this nice little bolster. It'll hopefully bolster the 40 billion in cash that they have now. Maybe we get to 45. I don't know. But I also think from just a optical point of view that, rewind 6 months, everybody and their mother was talking about brand damage for Tesla, and nobody's going to want to buy a Tesla, and because Elon is too involved in politics and too polarizing, all yada yada yada, right? That might be true in some regions. That might be true, in other continents like Europe, for example. That might be true. But I mean, look at right now, today, 497,000. Back to like the good old days, the glory days of, hey, we're
Yep.
just record after record on deliveries, right? So I think it all boils down to the quality of the product. How good is the product? The product speaks for itself, even though they don't advertise. The word of mouth, people getting butts and seats, and now actually experiencing a solid version of FSD. Obviously, right now, the only version available is V13, which is great in and of itself. I feel like it's actually gotten, noticeably better even in this version of 13.2.9, with the small kind of, call it, bug fixes, small updates going out over the last 3 to 6 months. I think it's been smoother, but I'm barely touching the wheel. So with V14 on the horizon, I can only imagine folks are going to hopefully get more excited about getting their hands on a Tesla and eventually a more affordable one, right? So hopefully
Yeah.
any day now, any week now, we understand when the new affordable vehicle will be released. I think now's a good time. Again, I think we've mentioned this in the past, and I'll get off my soapbox here in a minute, but we mentioned this in the past where people continue to misconstrue the first half production of the more affordable vehicle. Tesla never said in the first half we're going to announce or deliver or whatever. They've always stated that it's first half we're going to initiate production of the new affordable vehicle. And so, obviously I take that to heart, and I think, okay, because of that, and because even before when or they had stated this for a few quarters now, right? Before we knew that the $7,500 tax credit was going to expire. They've been stating this. And so now that that's in effect, and when they, announced 3 months ago or whenever the big beautiful bill passed, I think that gave Tesla an edge in the sense of, hey, now we can actually just wait a little bit, be patient with announcing the new more affordable vehicle until next quarter. That gives them more room for refinement, for just making sure that the quality is there for launch. And then hopefully Q4 is what continues to maintain that momentum of deliveries, as you said, even though they don't really matter as much in the long scheme of things, or even now. I think that continues to kind of maintain momentum going into Q4. Like you said, historically it's a good quarter. Christmas is on, the holidays are around the corner, so people are gonna want to buy a new car for the holidays or whatnot. So I think a lot of things are shaping up. They're boding well for the company, and hopefully within the next couple of weeks we actually get that announcement of the new affordable vehicle, and that continues to and they kind of hit the ground running, or they're kind of manufacturing these at a massive scale, since they've had plenty of months now to kind of continue refining that process. So I don't know. Hopefully that is the case going into the next 2 or 3 weeks.
Yeah, I think right in the beginning when you were saying the numbers thing,
Yeah.
I personally feel that numbers matter very little. And again, you said like in the long run, and that's true. In the long run, it does matter. I mean, in the long run, it won't matter at all. But then I feel like with Tesla's products, they're so good that it makes it very difficult for people not to want to buy them. And over time, that's going to show even more and more, especially if they get cheaper. And with Robotaxi and everything else, you can dislike somebody because of whatever views they have, but eventually you're going to get to this point where regardless of whether you like it or not, it's just so much cheaper and so much readily available. It's going to be, and that's going to make it so people they're not going to they're not going to stay away from Tesla. Teslas are going to be everywhere, and regardless of whether the tax credit's gone, I think once the affordable car comes up, it might just ramp up even further, with numbers wise. And I think we'll get into the realm, especially next year probably, we'll get into the realm of people thinking of Tesla specifically as an investment and less as just a vehicle that they're going to go buy for themselves. I think the fleet idea and basically just having a few of them to yourselves is going to be a thing, for especially for people who have always wanted to invest in like real estate or anything like that, any cash incoming that is your own, any business that is yours. I think that's going to be such an easier one to do, for especially for people who don't have a ton of money to invest in a $200,000+ home for it to be a rental. The buy-in to entry is going to be so much cheaper because of the fact that the cars are just going to be 20 to 30,000. Like, it's going to be ridiculous. It's going to be so ridiculous. Even if they're even 40,000, it's still going to be I forgot who did the numbers, but it was like $30,000 to $50,000 a year you would be making from your car just driving around while you're at work or sleeping or whatever. That by itself is just, I don't know. I feel like it's such an interesting time, and I think even Wall Street's figuring that out with the way they're speaking about Tesla, because it's kind of nice that people are actually giving them their props.
I agree. I definitely have noticed that shift in tone of the coverage on Tesla. I think I don't know, we've Elon and everybody at Tesla has banged the drum long enough to where they've constantly said they're an AI company, AI robotics company. And finally, I think with the fact that sales and car deliveries over the last few quarters, with the exception of Q3, but with them declining over the last several quarters, yet the stock's still rising, I think it's forced kind of the CNBCs of the world to kind of just accept and recognize, hey, I don't think a normal car company like your Ford or GMs are gonna demand this sort of valuation. So we can't sound stupid saying, they shouldn't be that anymore, even though it's been pretty evident for the last several years that it's been hovering at, a $500+ billion market cap. Because if you think about it, since that spike in 2020, I don't think it's really come down. Literally, I think 250 in like 23 or something like that. But since then, it's kind of always hovered around this $500 billion market cap. And you can only sound so dumb for so long before people really start, considering you irrelevant, right? So I have noticed, I would say over the last 6-ish months, that tone in like, hey, Tesla has gone through hell and back, dating all the way back to the Model 3 ramp. And then even 6 months ago with the whole political chaos and, people burning up cars and service centers and all that stuff, they still overcame that. And look where we are now. It was a tough time. I will say personally, as an investor, it was a tough time to see kind of the brand that you invest in take those sort of physical threats and impacts. But at the same time, I had the mentality of this too shall pass. And here we are in October 2025. And, Tesla is definitely one of the premier investments, in my opinion, not financial advice, but one of the premier investments, I think, that is being considered right now in late 2025.
Yeah, and I think around that time, it was difficult to talk about Tesla without people looking at you some type of way, making you feel like you're making the wrong choice to like Tesla generally.
Yep.
I think it's cooled down a lot, and I think again it's going to be one of those things that when it's more readily available, especially robotaxi, it's going to be so hard for people to even loop in Elon to Tesla or feel any type of way, even if they hate Elon because they're going to be riding in Teslas on the way to work or whatever. It's going to be like, well, I don't know what to tell you. You're using their product too, like, and that's going to be one of those things where it's going to, whether people like it or not, it's going to be a thing.
I mean, you think of all these other companies, and I know for Jeff Bezos of the world and Amazon, and how there's supposedly, I don't know, this is just people saying, there's kind of inhumane sort of work environments for delivery folks, or people that work in the warehouses, where they can only take short breaks, only a limited amount of breaks or whatever it is. People are still buying Amazon every single day. I see an Amazon truck every day on my way to and from work, and so that's just one one anecdotal evidence. Obviously Walmart, they've been kind of under fire in the past with, the kind of labor that they use to be able to offer such low prices. People still are buying at Walmart. It's not like that's changing. And so I think at some point, like I said, it's the product and what the product offers you. For some folks, yeah, Walmart offers them value because it's at a low price and they're getting what they need. They're getting their necessities. Okay, good for you. That if that's what you look for, then Walmart offers that. Other folks are going to look for low cost transportation. That's what Tesla, and pretty much I would imagine only Tesla's going to be able to offer. Yeah, you might get your Waymos of the world, but Waymo isn't widespread as Tesla will be. Like Tesla
Yeah.
has that generalized solution. I don't want to wait 4 or 5 years for Waymo to come here to all of San Diego County and map out the entire region and then only have like 100 cars available for an entire region or whatever. And so I think that's what people are missing, and it's interesting to for us as investors to recognize that people still don't see that. Like in hindsight's obviously always going to be 2020. But when I started investing in Tesla several years ago, I always thought to myself, like, why don't people like see it? And obviously now, after you grow older, you grow wiser, you start thinking, okay, well, they need to see the dollars. They need to be able to kind of see that sort of, sustainable dollar growth on the P&L, the demand, like all these different variables, right? And so now that we're actually seeing the inception of robotaxi and how just today, for example, I think they're hiring for like rapid response monitors or whatever. So that's a key indicator that they're eventually, pretty soon, hopefully over the next several months, going to start removing the safety monitor from the driver's side in Austin. And so I know, I have a super high degree of confidence that looking back in 2030, I'll look back to this, over the last couple months where we started the robotaxi platform, or Tesla started the robotaxi platform, and I'll be like, dude, it was so obvious. It's obvious now, but even 5 years down the road, I'll be like, dude, who could have missed this?
And people will say like, oh, you're quarterbacking, like you're saying that now that like it's over where it was, and it's like, well, I did put my money where my mouth was at the
Yeah,
time. So
100%.
if I was wrong, I would have been wrong completely. But clearly, generally, we've been making decent returns on on Tesla currently. I
Yeah,
can't,
on paper.
yeah, on paper, right? Like I can't imagine later in the future where people are gonna say like, oh, the Tesla fanboys were correct. Like, okay, well, we kind of
Yeah,
called it. We told people. I told as many people as I could at the time.
yeah,
And then people, maybe Tesla doesn't advertise enough about it, or Tesla people don't talk about it enough. But I'll talk about certain things that I felt like it's common knowledge to random people, and they're like, your car drives itself, and I'm like,
yeah.
yeah,
I have
yeah,
the same experience. Yeah,
yeah. Like I don't see why that's so crazy. I see why it's crazy. I understand that it sounds insane, but like this technology's been out for a while, and clearly Waymo being out where it's at, and then the idea of Tesla growing even faster, hopefully soon. It looks like we're just waiting on regulation stuff, but I'm excited for people to actually see it in real life in their face, so that way they understand, like, the hate towards Elon and Tesla. It's gonna be such a difficult spin, because what are they gonna say? Like, you're overworking your cars. You shouldn't be making them drive all the time. I don't know what they're gonna have to say to make people feel uncomfortable. And then I understand Elon says wild stuff sometimes, or maybe some of it is wise, but like it depends on the perspective. But that's not gonna affect anything. It's not gonna affect Tesla, and I think it's gonna show that, like, regardless of what he has to say, Tesla's gonna do its thing with or without him saying those things.
I agree. I think he's obviously very open-minded, let's call it. But he's shown a very long track record of just executing on whatever milestones he has in place for himself or the company has in place for him. And I think at this point, why bet against that? He's proven time and time again that he can execute on these super outlandish goals. Why not take a shot at someone who already has a proven track record? It's not as a risky bet as it was back in 2015, 2011, like before Model 3 ramp. Now again, I'm not saying people should invest, but I'm just saying nowadays it's you see kind of the end goal here. You see the North Star that Tesla has for itself over the coming 5 to 10 to 15 years in the age of AI, right? With autonomy and then eventually with Optimus. And I think that's what's going to unleash just this sort of exponential parabolic growth, not only in Tesla, but just in any company that is involved in any way, shape, or form with artificial intelligence. Like if they're leveraging artificial intelligence, uh, they will benefit from some sort of just operating efficiency, operating leverage, being able to do more with what you already have. And so I think that's what people are like still trying to test the water, so to speak. When it's kind of pretty clear, it's just a matter of execution. And I think that goes the same for Tesla, just a matter of execution.
I think also seeing one, I forgot who it was. Stephen Mark Ryan was talking. There was someone who said that they own Tesla, and they're talking about it on Wall Street, on CNBC, and that by itself is just a trip to show I like Tesla and I own.
Yeah.
It. I we'll see. I think it's gonna be a quick turnaround probably next year. I think next year people will be a completely 180 from what they are right now on Elon and Tesla story.
I think definitely next year is when people will start getting the idea of yeah, no, this is not a car company. Like obviously we've talked about V14 coming out, and V14.2, according to Elon, will feel sentient. And so I think that that's something that you can't verbally describe. That's something that you sort of have to really just experience physically on your own. And I can already start to imagine some of those experiences where I can feel it thinking, like, all right, there might be a small gap here, but I'm probably going to go. And you kind of feel the car sort of, ever so slightly inching forward, like, hey, get ready, because I'm going to, especially if you have me in hurry mode, like, I'm going to try to make this gap or whatever, but obviously
Yep.
in a way where it gives you the sense of confidence that's going to be a safe sort of maneuver and not just something where it's risking any sort of safety. So, I do look forward to the end of the year. Hopefully it's like a holiday update where 14.2 comes out and it's like, here's your gift, the sentient robot on wheels, so that'll
Yeah.
be something. And then, it's just so many things coming down the pike for Tesla that is like, okay, things are kind of kind of running on all cylinders, so to speak. And then hopefully they can really start to make notable progress on Optimus, because I forget who said it, but I think Optimus V3 was basically kind of like a reset of Optimus, where they almost, I wouldn't say had to start from scratch, but they had to like take several steps back to say, hey, V2 Optimus is not optimized for mass manufacturing. I
Yeah.
think in concept, it was great. They could have probably gotten that sort of version to do pretty crazy stuff, but they wouldn't be able to mass manufacture it. And so now with V3, they almost went back to the drawing board and like, hey, maybe the external looks the same, but internally we gotta change things up if we actually want to strive for millions of robots being produced per year. And so I think hopefully over the next, call it 24 months, we actually make some good progress on that, especially considering that one of Elon's milestones is to deliver a million robots. I forget by when. I think it's delivered by 2030 or something like that, or at least by the end of the compensation term, which is 10 years, I believe.
Yeah. 10 years. I
So,
almost feel like everything that they put on that compensation package, he's gonna be able to do by 2030.
and I think that's his goal. I think that's his
Yeah.
goal, to try to hit these by 2030. That way he for sure tries to lock in the voting power that he would get, even though he wouldn't be able to sell his shares for however long, and then he has to go to the
7 years,
board
I
now. It's
think.
like, yeah, 7 years, I think. And then now he has to actually go to the board and sort of kind of give an explanation as to why he's planning on selling. And so I think that's part of the clause. But anyway, I think he's motivated, and this is, like I said, a great compensation package for everybody involved, because he's motivated to try to hit these milestones before 2030, because he wants the voting power. Because past 2030, that's when you really start scaling Optimus to insane levels.
Yeah.
And so you want to have that voting power to be able to make sure that nobody can oust you once you have an army of robots around the world, you know?
Yeah.
And so I think he's super highly motivated to achieve this. And if he does, then anybody who's a shareholder now and holds on should kind of see a fair return come 2030,
Yeah.
Nothing's a guarantee in life but death and taxes. But I will say, there's this super high motivation for Elon I can sense going into 2030 to kind of try to achieve most, if not all, these milestones. Obviously, he has 10 years, but the sooner he can achieve them, the more voting power he gets.
Yeah. I
He's already, go ahead.
Go ahead.
Last thing I was going to say is he's already pretty darn close to 2 trillion. So hopefully we can vote before the market cap gets to 2 trillion.
Yeah. Seriously. Um, I voted, and it was one of those interesting experiences because I was at the dinner table. It was my mom's birthday celebration, and I
Happy
look
birthday
over
to your
at my
mom.
mom. Huh?
Happy birthday to your mom.
I I was voting, and then they were like, "What are you doing?" I was like, "This is the only thing I can vote on." So I got. And I made sure, like I said it, and everyone just started laughing, and I was just like, "Hey, th- this I can control. The rest of the world, I feel like it's so hard to agree with everyone, but I feel like everyone in the Tesla community completely is on the same like
Wavelength.
wavelength mindset.
Yep.
And I feel like ever since I've owned the stock, it's always felt that way a little bit. So
Yep.
sometimes when people are like, "Oh, the stock shareholders are not happy," blah blah blah, I'm like, I don't hear that from our end. I hear small like critiques, but complaints hardly ever, especially if you understand the story and like what they're trying to accomplish.
It has been interesting. I've thought about this over the last, call it 6-ish months, maybe more the last 3 months, since that's when Tesla stock has kind of gone a little parabolic. 6 months ago, especially with this whole political fiasco that happened in the spring of this year, I recall several X accounts. I won't mention any names, but I recall several X accounts of, Tesla holders, Tesla investors who were bashing on Elon. Like, dude, what are you doing to our stock? Like, like we're always kind of getting, stabbed in the back, whatever. And I'm like, dude, take it easy. Like, you'll look back 2 years from now and be like, oh, That was nothing. That was nothing to complain about. Like, sure, I understand. We're human beings. We're emotional. I got emotional too, but I had the confidence in the company that they're going to continue to execute. And so, there were folks that were super ultra bulls back in the day, pre $1.5 trillion market cap. And we were hovering around that 1 trillion to call it 700 billion market cap.
Yep.
And people were like, dude, Elon, what are you doing? Like, what's going on? Stop talking about the president. Like, who cares if he's on the list? Like, all this crap, right? And then now it's like, dude, he said all that stuff. And look where we're at, close to all-time highs. Obviously, today we took a massive hit, but at least, we're well on our way to all-time highs, hopefully by the end of the year.
And it shouldn't be surprising that Elon says and does what he does. So sometimes when I
Right.
hear like, oh, you've been in the stock this many years, blah blah blah, Elon, he's been like that. It's not new. The only
Right.
difference now is that there's more light on him. That's why you feel the way you feel. Because otherwise, he's been this way this whole time. Like
Right.
when people are like saying he's a bad person, all this stuff, I'm like, he just speaks his mind, and we're all flawed. So at the end of the day, my opinion might not be the best for most people, but the other half is gonna say I'm correct, and that's just the way it works. And when
Right.
he starts saying wild things that maybe I don't agree with or I do agree with on some stuff, but like that's just him being who he's been. Like he's just outspoken. He always says what's on his mind. And at least from my perspective, at least what he's thinking a good amount of the time because he's literally just putting it on X.
Yeah.
Like if you have some gripe about it, then at least because there's people out there, especially in government or not in government, but like there's people out there that share certain things that aren't their true beliefs or their true intentions, and that's when it's scary. Like,
Yeah.
or they don't share some of their stuff at all, and then they show their cards when they feel like showing their cards.
Yep.
At least Elon just straight up just puts it all on the table and is like, this is what I am, and this is who I am, and whether
Yep.
you like it or not, this is what it is. It makes it so much easier for I feel like me whenever I'm thinking, oh, I want to buy more or whatever. I know Elon's gonna do what he's gonna do. And those
Yeah.
people who were ultra bulls or whatever, they were ultra bulls on the run up, but then they shut up when shit got tough. Like, and that's just funny to me to think like, oh, you're here for when we're having a good time, but as soon as things get hard, like that's when you be quiet. And it's like I
Yeah.
get it and I understand. Maybe again when he was saying the things he was saying and lining up with people that he was lining up to, maybe that wasn't your beliefs, but at the end of the day, it's a
Yeah.
free country. It's a freedom of speech situation where you can do whatever you want. And if you feel like your stock's in danger, pull out.
Yeah.
And if you feel like it's a buying opportunity because he's doing some wild stuff again, then it's a buying opportunity. Like,
Yeah.
let him be.
Yeah.
You've been in the stock forever. You should know that.
That's what's interesting is I will mention one name. He hasn't kind of wavered. He's been a bull, but he's shown a little bit of concern, So I can mention his name because I still considered him to be kind of bullish even throughout through the difficult time that Elon and Tesla went through. Or like Herbert, for example. I remember as we were in the midst of this whole Trump versus Elon debacle, I remember he mentioned he was concerned about was, hey, you're literally kind of, ruffling the feathers of the most powerful person on the planet right now. And that powerful person can influence the departments that benefit your company. So the Department of Transportation, Sean Duffy. Sean Duffy has the ear of the president and vice versa. And so the president can't go to Sean and be like, hey, do a little something to kind of take a jab at Elon. And so those were I think they're warranted, the concerns that he
Yeah.
had. But,
Yeah.
fast forward to today, obviously, a lot of sad and unfortunate things happen, rest in peace, Charlie Kirk and stuff like that. And seeing Elon with the president shaking hands, smiling, laughing, I think that was a huge boost of confidence to a lot of folks. A lot of us over the last several months kind of really, have met at at relationship, the current relationship between Elon and the president. So, but I think this was a little bit of icing on the cake on, hey, things are back to normal.
Yeah. I think also the concerns were warranted around that time. So I
Yeah.
did understand why he was saying what he was saying,
Heat of the
but I
moment.
also felt like they need each other, whether and at the end of the
Yes.
day, the government needs Elon. Like if Elon's company isn't doing well, that's a $1 trillion company that isn't making you money.
Yeah.
I don't
Yeah.
think
That's a good point.
anyone wants companies that big to fail. The reason the US does so well is because most companies that are in the $1 trillion mark are in the US. And you don't want those companies to not do well because then it doesn't boast well on the US.
Especially versus
So at the
China.
yeah, and Elon, who is literally on paper the richest man in the world, um, not including some people that probably hide their money, but at the end of the day, that's where even if people butt heads with him, you still want to be somewhat on his good gracious because on his good side because otherwise how is he going to provide for the government even more? And I understood, again, I understood what they were saying, like slowly, like making it very difficult, blah blah blah. But like in that moment, I was just thinking, well, if Texas allows them to do certain things and Florida allows them to do certain things, I think the biggest thing with the government part was just to allow full like the robo taxi everywhere in the US so that way we can cross lines. But that would be again the I forgot his name, but the forcing function would have been those states doing so well with Teslas being inside of them that
Yeah.
it would have forced everyone else to also be a part of it. Because whether we like it or not, it would be a rough entrance for every state. But at the end of the day, it won't matter because the government can fight that. But if
Yep.
people are saving money, people are living their lives without having to own certain things, and Tesla's making more money for the government would have given up anyway. And I've always felt that way about so many things when it comes to people saying like the tax credits, that's why they're selling cars generally, blah blah blah. Okay, well, their margins are still high. Elon compressed very strong buttons to force the price of the cars to go really low because of our margins. And that by itself, we have a crazy cash flow. We have a ton of cash that could probably sur- Tesla could survive for a while without having to make a ton of money on on cars. And no other car company can say that. Like no other
Yeah.
car company could say they're gonna lower their cars because they have very razor thin margins. So a lot of the stuff that I was hearing from I forgot his name right now. Um and I listen to his podcast a lot. Herbert, yeah.
Yeah.
From what he was saying, I understand what he's trying to say, but I think he forgets that there's so many levers that can be pulled with Tesla that makes
Yeah.
it very, very difficult for anyone to compete truly with Tesla. If
Yeah.
Tesla wanted to really destroy everyone, they could just go to almost zero margins and just wreck the market.
Sure. No, yeah, and I think for Herbert, to his defense, I think it was more just the heat of the moment, right? Just,
Yeah, for sure.
everything was shaping up to be just epic, November 20, and everybody's like, dude, this is perfect. Everything is kind of the stars are aligning for Tesla. And then to kind of throw a bunch of cold water on it with, the falling out between them and all that stuff. So that's a whole different story, but it was just more the heat of the moment of, hey, and understandably, I think I had concerns too. I'm like, hey, I don't think I don't think it would destroy Tesla, but I think it'll delay the
Yeah,
development and the
delay.
rollout of robotaxi. But ultimately, I think if you look at down the road with Optimus, like I don't think you really need a ton of regulation there to be approved. Like it's just a robot. You already have Roombas in your house, and you have robots in factories.
And
This is just
restaurants.
another robot and restaurants. And so I think obviously long term, that's what's going to make the majority of Tesla's income is Optimus. That's the
Yeah.
plan. So I think if you kind of when in doubt, zoom out, so to speak, and you realize, hey, the company's still going to execute on Optimus. You have so many other players in the game too executing on robotics. This is the next sort of iPhone, this next sort of Netflix, the next sort of Amazon. Is whoever can really hit it out of the park with robotics. So yeah, fun times, a lot of exciting times ahead, and it's nice that we're sitting pretty here at obviously even with today's
440 something.
stock dump. I think it's
430.
435 is the last time I saw in after hours. But anyway, I mean, literally 2 months ago we were at 300 or 320 or whatever, right? So
Yeah, it's
it's
always those memes where it's like all going towards like 430 and then
yeah.
it's like coming back down to 430 and it's like the guy underwater.
Yeah.
It's like
It's nice.
what?
It's nice to have this dip though, because it's obviously dips are healthy, right? Like you want that
Yeah.
consolidation. You want people that really aren't in it for the long term to liquidate, take some profits, and then that way you start developing a new base, right? So
Yeah.
I'm glad that way, I get some extra powder ready, and if we kind of go even lower, then I might pile in. Well, not pile in, but at least dabble here and there, right?
Yeah,
So
yeah, yeah.
I think right now is a good time, especially before the end of the year. I still believe, and I think many other folks have said it too, that we could still very reasonably see all-time highs and surpassing all-time highs by the end of the year. I mean, we got 3 months left, so I can see that
We're
as a possibility.
we were up 40% in like a month.
Yeah, I mean,
Like
parabolic.
wh-
Yeah,
where do you hear that? Like I can
yeah.
see I understand that there is some stocks that have had those situations, but like
That's like a meme
Tesla,
stock.
yeah, exactly. Tesla is still if there is more robo-taxis around the country by the end of the year, that's going to be tough to fight against the whole stock situation, and then especially all running up all next year. It's going to be
Yeah,
great. Next year is going to be great, and I think I'm excited for what's to come, and I'm excited that people are talking about it more now. And then it's fun to watch everyone just chase the stock up.
Yeah.
It's super entertaining, and I'm super excited for these next couple months, especially once they figure out Elon's stock compensation package. Again, like you said, hopefully they do it before it hits the $2 trillion mark.
I
Because
don't know if it matters. I'd be
I don't
curious if
think
it
it
does.
does. I don't think
You
it
think it
does,
does?
but hopefully
Oh, you
not.
don't? Okay.
I
Okay.
don't think so. Hopefully not,
Okay.
because it has to hit those specific numbers. It's not like a general thing. Um,
Yeah. I mean, that would be a stretch because you're talking about $500 billion by in a month of market cap growth. It won't hit 2 trillion in the next 30 days, you know? So
I
I
hope
think
not.
he's in the clear.
I hope
Um,
not. You never know. With Tesla,
maybe
it's
after,
ridiculous. Yeah, maybe. And
but
then what was it? I keep like stumbling onto people saying like stock split. I'm like, guys, we're
yeah.
still at 400.
Yeah, I think they're, and I saw this last time too with when Trump got elected, and then we
Mm-hmm.
just went
Mm-hmm.
went parabolic after that too. It's like, oh, we're gonna go to 3,000 in like a couple years. Let's split the stock. And I'm like, dude, relax. And so whenever we get these shifts upward, and everybody's kind of piling in, it's like, okay, I feel like that stock split conversation always comes up, but I don't think it's gonna happen. I mean, maybe if we hit like 2+ trillion, in the next 12 to 18 months, then I think that that's a serious consideration, I would imagine. But I don't think we'll see it in 2026 for sure.
Stock splits, the only people that benefit from it are the people getting it directly from Tesla, like people who work in like directly from Tesla, and they have to buy whole shares off their paychecks. Like those are the only people that truly benefit from it, because at the end of the day, it just looks nice on like our side. Like, oh, if it splits on five or whatever, it's like, dang,
Yeah.
I have five more like times whatever shares. It's like, well, the valuation is the same, so it doesn't even matter.
Yeah.
So again, like the only people like that, and like people who do options
Yep.
and stuff. But like other than that, like everyone else is it's the same thing. It's not nothing's changed.
Yep. Yeah, I think I'm not really an expert or anything, but I think for options folks, I think that's where it comes in handy because like obviously the more amount of shares that get split, like the more contracts you can kind of buy with the
Yeah,
same kind of dollar amount, so to
yeah.
speak. So I think from that point of view, it's beneficial for folks that trade options. But yeah, I agree. If you're just holding long term, it doesn't matter, right? Your market cap's
Hmm.
still the same. So but
Yeah,
cool, man. Well, I mean, exciting times ahead. Like we said, obviously with earnings here in a couple weeks, in about a month, a little more than a month, we'll have the investor day. Obviously, hopefully here any day now. Maybe tomorrow they announce it. Maybe tonight. Who knows? They announced the more affordable vehicle, but hopefully in the next couple weeks for sure.
2014.
14. Really, really stoked about that.
Yeah,
I probably won't get it for at least another couple weeks until like the first sort of early testers get it right. So a lot to look forward to here in the next. It's technically still 3 months since we just started October, but a
yeah.
lot to look forward to.
I'm excited. It's gonna be a good
Yeah.
time.
Yeah. So cool, man. Well, glad I was able to hop back on, and yeah, I think like I said, I should be clear to hop on weekly for the remaining of the year. So
Awesome.
looking forward to. I mean, exciting time to be a Tesla fan. So looking forward to chatting again.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. Me too. Hey, people who usually aren't about it are excited about it. So
Yeah.
for us who
Yeah.
have been in it, it's like I'm glad you're excited because I am.
Yeah. Totally, man. All
All
right.
right,
Cool.
man.
Well, have a good night. We'll talk again soon.
Yeah. Good night, man. See you.
Bye.
Peace.